Welcome back to Franco Fridays, and today I've got the 1977 soft porn film Blue Rita. Uh, this is a really, really interesting film. Uh, it takes the woman in chains concept and flips it on its head. In this film, you've got women that are essentially running a brothel. But in the brothel, they're actually using the brothel as a front to uh, basically hold men hostage and extort money from them, torturing them in the process. And it basically it's really flips the whole women in prison, women in chains on its head, and it's a very, very interesting film. In this film, I think you can see Franco really playing to his interests, and and I think he produced a film here that's ahead of its time, because the film looks almost like 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's very antiseptic. You've got see-through furniture. You've got very antiseptic colors in the film, uh, and the acting is extremely good in this. It's more than just a softcore porn film. It's a great story, and it's interesting and engaging. I mean, there are sex scenes in it, not hardcore scenes, but there is some simulated type sex scenes. But it's all done in the context of women who hate men dominating men to get what they want, which I found is an interesting. Yeah, we don't actually see many of those type films, and certainly in the 70s, uh, this whole genre of women getting chained and punished and those type of things is, uh, being turned on its head. I think is a really, at least for me anyway, was a refreshing change of pace. The film, I think, also is an attempt to uh, rectify some mistakes that was made in The Girl from Rio, as far as kind of a spy drama film that didn't quite hit all the bases. I think took a second stab at it with Blue Rita, in attempting to talk about a storyline of a spy espionage subplot coupled with um, this extortion scam in this brothel. Everything in this film is very tastefully done, and I think that Franco did a great job with colors and set design. And the thing that's outstanding and sets this film apart from many of his films, um, is the music. The music in this is a notch above any of the other music I think he's put in his films. Walter Baumgartner, the German composer, did a fantastic job in this film. Uh, I think in Franco's films in general, music plays an extremely important part in his films, and it's always great, typically. But this is like a notch above everything else you're gonna hear from a musical standpoint. It starts out with kind of a Jimmy Forrest Night Train jazz type music, and then it goes into some really kind of advanced avant-garde type stuff that is 21st century type music. So I think this film really is ahead of its time in a lot of respects, in terms of the picture, the set design, the costumes. It's got almost like a science fiction type feel to it. And all those trappings, the set design, the costumes, all those things, I think, make it rise above. Well, this is just another Franco softcore porn film. It really, I think you would be doing it injustice if you were to take that approach. I really enjoyed the film. I think it's a 7.5 out of 10, in one of his best efforts, as far as if you wanted to label Franco's films in like subgenre categories. I guess you could call this his softcore porn stage, but I think it would be doing it an injustice, frankly. This full moon release also has an interview with Eric Falk, who is the he's kind of the beefy German that gets captured and tortured in the film, and he has nothing but good things to say about how easy it is to work with Franco. Um, there was also an interesting tidbit about one of the guys that was in the film, a guy named Oliver. Can't remember his last name, but essentially what happens is the women taunt these men. They basically chain them up and taunt them with sexually, get them all worked up until they just can't take it anymore, and then they'll give them whatever they want in order to have sex with these women. But in the process, they pour this green goo all over them. And apparently, when they were shooting the film, one of the French producers came on set and saw what was going on, and saw Oliver covered with all this goo. And when the scene was over, I guess he got up all pissed off and just ran off because he was all covered in goo. I don't know, but it's a funny story. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a good film, and you should check it out if you're interested in Franco at all. So that'll wrap up my review of Blue Rita, the full moon release, and I highly recommend it. Thanks.